Hey guys, 660 here, coming to you with some more Star Citizen finally, yay! And we're currently on the test server, the PTU, the pre-alpha, whatever you want to call it. And we're looking at the new ship that has been provided to everyone on this server and will be apparently available in 2.6.2. The Drake Buccaneer, and I have been dying to check this ship out. Like I said, they pass this out to everyone in the PTU, whether or not you have it. I like this. Drake Interplanetary is sort of like the no frills, get it done, mostly bought by pirates company, and the Buccaneer fills their fighter role. It's sort of the cheaper competitor to the Anvil Hornet. I think the base model is like $30 less than the base model of the Hornet, and comes like this with more guns. But it's not going to be as tough, I think. At least that's what they've read. We're going to find out in this video. And yeah, no ejection seat, which when full persistency is implemented, that's going to mean a lot. When your slogan is die flying or die trying, you get a whole bunch of people that raise their hands and go, but I want to live. It's like, fly something else. So yeah, this is their answer to heavy fighter. Probably going to end up being faster and more maneuverable with two engines like that, and not as much armor frame. So what do we have? We have 9 series longsword. We have gimbaled Badger repeaters in the size 2 slots, so that's 2 size 2s, or size 3s if you wish, 2 size 1s, and up here we have a full turret with a set of tarantula autocannons, and that's another pair of size 2s, though it can take in the same turret slot really big size 4 guns. So it's and we will check that out when we do some shooting. But that's some heck of firepower, plus some size 2 missiles, and I am liking how this thing is looking. I really like the look of the Buccaneer. I personally think it's a pretty sexy ship. Even with its no frillsness to it. Here, let's get in the cockpit. I haven't even done that yet. I haven't done anything with this thing yet. Okay, visibility isn't what I thought it would be, I'm gonna be honest. It is better than the Hornet, which does not have the greatest visibility. But I was under the impression there was going to be a little bit more glass in the cockpit, which I really should have been paying attention to when I was outside. But the visibility is still good. You got these big signature frames that reinforce the cockpit, which sort of increase survivability-ish. Oops. That is not what I meant to push at all. So, now you know that I'm recording with Shadowplay. I was under the impression that, like, up here maybe or something you'd be able to actually see through this glass. I guess not. And so I think we've done enough just kind of like looking at this. Let's go find something to shoot at. Be right back. Okay, so this bit is actually recorded separate after all. After I recorded the in-flight stuff, and I did this for 2 reasons. One is because I didn't realize till I got into the ship that none of my flight controls saved over. So I'm used to flying stick and throttle. Well, the throttle didn't work and none of the stick controls were where I had them. So I had to go through and try to very quickly rebind a bunch of stuff to get it somewhere close to what I'm used to flying. And yeah, this is some comfort for me, but it's also so that I can at least get some semblance of competency, which is still pretty bad on my part when flying this thing. And the second reason is simply my inability to talk and fly at the same time. But once I got that taken care of, I'll tell you, I really like the ship. I know that the footage that I'm playing doesn't show me as a very good pilot and things, but that's actually better than I have been on any other ship that I'm inexperienced with after going, I think it's been about 3 weeks without flying. And I'll tell you something, that thing kept me alive in those matches way better than any other ship has that I've gone into blind and without experience. And like I said, usually these ships tend to come out after it's been a little while since I've done any real combat flying. I really prefer exploring, personally. But it is a combat ship, so combat it is. And I really like it. Even with its default setup, I would prefer a size 4, 2 size 3s, and then almost guys for the size 1s. But with 4 size 2s and the autocannons and the size 1s, it still is a pretty great ship. That's a lot of firepower, that really is. And it carries bigger missiles than the Hornets, which are sort of the go-to staple for combat and dogfighting in Star Citizen most of the time. And this ship keeps me alive better than a Hornet, because what I found is with a 220 meter per second standard flight speed, and you can afterburner up to 710. Combine that with a with a very, very snappy response time, both in terms of acceleration, deceleration, and maneuverability. I love the thing. It allowed me to dodge missiles. I did not rebind countermeasures, which I should have, but I was still able to actually outfly missiles most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time when flying the ship, which I really should not have been able to do, but it was so fast and responsive and moved how I needed it to move when I needed it to move. At times really feeling like it was moving before I was telling it to move. I really like this thing. So I was able to dodge missiles, asteroids, enemy ships. Honestly, a lot better than I do in a number of ships, even when I have actually had flight practice, proper flight practice. And so, while it really gives the distinct impression that it's not gonna be as tanky as a Hornet, it is going to be tankier than some of the more dogfighty, super fast ships that I've seen a lot of people like to use that are admittedly even faster and more maneuverable. But so it's sort of like in between, but it certainly starts taking damage a lot faster. And I think some of that's the shields. It could use some better shields, but that's something we can solve, isn't it now? But it's also not tissue paper. That's what I was meaning to say. It's not tissue paper, so while it can take a couple hits, it doesn't explode when you sneeze on it. And I really, personally, like the balance of the ship, and I'm going to be flying it as much as I can for however long the PTU is up. It's got that perfect amount of really maneuverable and really fast, where you can get it to move when you need it to move, how you need it to move, which I've said multiple times, but that seems to be a big part of the ship. But at the same time, you don't over move. Like, I've flown the Shan Kartual, which is the big alien starship looking ship, the red one, the 2 big size 3 guns. And it has great visibility and great speed and maneuverability, and you'll run into everything. Because it's so fast and maneuverable that it's really, really hard to keep control of it. For me, I find that the Buccaneer manages to hit a sweet spot, particularly for people that aren't great flyers like me, where it has a great amount of speed and maneuverability. And very importantly, the ability to keep its nose pointed towards the target no matter what. That's super important. Even with my crappy aim, I was at least looking at the enemy most of the time, without overflying. And that is really summing up my thoughts of its flight characteristics. Like I said, I'm afraid I'm not a super great pilot, and because I don't know how long this PTU access will be, I was really pushing to try to get this out quickly. And if I have time, I'll certainly come back and another look at it with extended flight practice with it. Believe me, I'm not done flying the thing. But my first impressions, which is what this video is about, is that the ship is just tough enough to take a couple hits without exploding, and it is right on the edge of being almost too maneuverable, but still in the easy to control area. So that fits very much in how I like my ships. I like them to be maneuverable, but not too maneuverable. And obviously, any of the faster ships, the Katu'al, the M50, the Gladius, those and more are going to probably outfly it on raw maneuverability, but they're also flimsier than the Buccaneer. And I really found it strange that this ship, which is marketed as you're going to die in it, actually coming in with so little flight experience, I survived the most in when compared to going into other ships with like zero flight experience. And most of those other ships, I at least still had the control scheme I'm used to, as opposed to just having a skeleton of my usual control scheme. So even with my incompetence, the ship actually kept me alive really well, which I think speaks quite well to the kind of ship. I think it says it quite a lot about the kind of ship it is, when even if you're a really crappy pilot, it keeps you alive more than most. Even in a Hornet, I would have been dead in these fights very quickly, over and over and over again. So that is the final summation of my first impressions of the Buccaneer. Fast, maneuverable, and just tough enough. And I thank you all for watching. I'm sure that I'm gonna... Feel free to comment. I'm sure I'm gonna get a bunch about how bad I am at flying. But feel free to comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Have you flown the Buccaneer? What do you think of it? What do you think of it just from watching it keep an idiot alive? And that is all I have on that. Thank you all for watching. This is Nick60 signing off. Have a good one, all.
Elite units eliminated.
Special thanks to the anonymous patron on Patreon who refuses to give up on me. Seriously, your support is appreciated.